Okay, let's talk about something that pretty much all of us do: overthinking. It's that mental hamster wheel that traps us, drains our energy, and honestly just steals our joy. So, we're gonna dive deep into the psychology behind it.
I mean, come on, who hasn't? That's the feeling, right? You're just stuck in this endless loop, replaying something you said, or maybe something you wish you'd said. This right here is the heart of overthinking, and it's exactly where we get tangled up. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with what I call the overthinking paradox. Then we'll get into the science of why our brains love to get stuck. After that, we'll look at the hidden costs, and then we'll get to the good stuff, a whole toolkit to help you break free. And finally, the power of taking just one step. All right, first up, the overthinking paradox. It's this bizarre mental trap where the more you think, the less clear things become. You think you're trying to solve a problem, but you're actually just generating more thoughts that lead nowhere. You just end up feeling completely exhausted. Now, just to put this in perspective, check out this number. Researchers estimate that the average person has something like 6,000 thoughts every single day. That is a ton of mental traffic to direct. But wait, it gets even wilder. Some research suggests that a staggering 80% of those thousands of thoughts are negative. 80%. You know, when you see that number, it's suddenly no surprise that we can get caught in these negative thought spirals so easily. Our brains are almost predisposed to it. And this is a really important distinction we have to make. Deep thinking is not the enemy. That's productive. It's focused, it solves problems, it leads to decisions. Overthinking, well, that's like spinning your wheels in the mud. It feels like you're doing something, but you're not actually going anywhere. You're just stuck. And this habit really has two main flavors. You've got ruminating, that's when you're stuck in the past, right? Replaying that awkward thing you said 5 years ago. And then there's worrying. That's when you're lost in the future, creating all these what-if scenarios that probably will never happen. So the big question is, why? Why do our brains do this to us? Well, what's crucial to understand is that this isn't some kind of personal failing. It's literally a byproduct of how our brains are wired. See, our brains have a few factory settings that make us prime candidates for overthinking. First, there's this thing called the default mode network. Think of it as your brain's screensaver. When you're not focused on something, it kicks in and tends to wander, usually toward problems. Then you've got the negativity bias. That's an evolutionary leftover. Our ancestors had to spot the tiger in the grass to survive, so we're hardwired to look for danger first. Add in a little hit of dopamine that tricks us into feeling productive when we explore those what-ifs, and a dose of the stress hormone cortisol, and, well, you've got the perfect recipe for a mental vortex. And all of that often leads to this classic outcome: analysis paralysis. You've thought about something from every single angle, so much so that you're totally incapable of making a decision. Brain scans actually show that when the decision-making part of your brain gets overloaded like this, your performance just tanks. Okay, so we know what it is and we know why it happens, but what's the actual damage? Let's take a look at the very real but often hidden costs of overthinking in our day-to-day lives. Do any of these sound familiar? Constantly replaying conversations in your head? Lying awake at night because your mind just will not shut off? Agonizing over tiny decisions like what to eat for lunch? Or just feeling mentally wiped out all the time? Yep, these are all classic signs you're stuck in that overthinking loop. And the impact, it's pretty serious. Overthinking ramps up your anxiety and stress because your body is basically in a low-grade state of fight or flight. It's a huge cause of procrastination because you're too afraid to make the wrong move, and it can even lead to social isolation as we pull back to avoid saying or doing the wrong thing. Okay, enough of the problem, because here's the good news. You are not powerless here, not at all. It is time to pivot from the problem to the solution. Let's start building your toolkit to break this cycle for good. First up, a really simple but powerful tool for perspective. It's called the 5-5-5 rule. The next time you're spiraling, just stop and ask yourself these 3 questions. So often, the answer to the last one, and maybe even the second one, is a big no, and that can instantly shrink the problem right down to size. Now, to fight that analysis paralysis we talked about, try the classic Pomodoro technique. It is so simple, but it works because it forces you to stop thinking and start doing. You set a timer for 25 minutes, you go all in on one task, and boom, you've broken the cycle of just thinking about it. You're building momentum. And here are a few more to add to your kit. Mindfulness, for sure. Journaling, getting the thoughts out of your head and onto paper.
Or try this. Give yourself a hard time limit for a decision. 5 minutes. That's it. Talking to a friend can also work wonders. Do you see the theme here? It's all about breaking that internal loop by taking some kind of external action.
And that brings us to the most important takeaway. You can't just flip a switch and decide to stop overthinking forever. That's not how it works. This is about starting a journey. And that journey always begins with one single step.
I really love this because it's so realistic and, honestly, so empowering. This isn't a battle you win just once. It's a practice. It's a lifelong journey of noticing your thoughts and then choosing, day by day, to take action instead of just getting lost in more analysis.
So when it all feels like too much, it really comes down to this one simple, powerful question. When you feel that spiral starting, just pause, breathe, and ask yourself, in this moment, what can I truly control? And the answer is where you'll find your power. Stop pouring your precious energy into the things you can't change. Instead, find those small, manageable actions that are right there, within your reach, and focus all your energy right there. That is the shift. That's how you go from thinking to doing. Which brings us to our final question. And this one is for you. Not tomorrow, not next week, today, right now. What is one small step, just one, that you can take to break a thought loop and move forward? Because that small step, that's everything.